Hey everybody, it's your girl Pjamma with Pjammalyfe. And today we have a great show filled with great movies to talk about, and we're nearing our Oscar roundup. So we will check out Barbie and Poor Things and Zone of Interest, just to throw a little salt in that sweet batch of movies, as well as discuss Best Picture nomination, Best Director nominations. But I couldn't do it without my buddies. Pew! These two guys, they're just kin enough. So let's say hi to David.
Hey, everybody. Ho, 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 and Merry March Christmas. I'm coming to you live from my mother's home in the Commonwealth of Kentucky in a room that would have been designated mine as we had really lived here 40 some odd years ago. But we're here, thanks also with my other COVID cuties, celebrating a Christmas of past that didn't happen. And we're doing that
Oh,
this weekend here in Kentucky. And I am really excited to talk about these movies while we are waiting for the Christmas goose to cook. We'll talk about some goose stepping and other things, all in pink, as we discuss.
all right. And our guru of all things Star Wars. All things sci-fi and Tolkien. I've
Yeah.
been a little sick, so you have to bear with me. There he is. This guy, Patrick. Say hey to the people.
Hey everybody, glad to see everybody here. I know it's been we've had a little bit of a run of illnesses among our team here, so we're all recovering and we've been trying to catch up on things, and here we are ready to do this. Let's go.
All right, and go we shall with our first look at Barbie. Let's take a peek.
You can find me under the lights, diamonds under my eyes.
This is the best day ever.
It is the best day ever. So is yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now until forever. Do you guys ever think about dying?
Closer I am fine. Closer I am fine.
Barbie in the real world. That's impossible.
If this got out, this could mean extremely weird things for our world. This would be catastrophic! No one rests until this doll is back in a box.
Even if nobody else sings along.
Humans only have one ending.
Get that Barbie!
Ideas live forever.
No, I won't let you do just one appendectomy.
There we are, Barbie. Pat, talk about what you thought of Barbie.
I just love this movie. I mean, I'm not usually a big fan of the sickly sweet, but this was delightful. It had a dark underbelly. Kate McKinnon as weird Barbie is just perfectly cast. I mean, everybody in this was. I mean, everything about this movie I really loved. I mean, the casting choices were all perfect. The music is a banger of a soundtrack. I listen to it all the time. The set design, the costume design, the production. This movie was pretty close to flawless. Yes, it was a little light because it's obviously dealing with children's toys, but it's also about what these children's toys represent to us as we get older, and it was super well done. And like I said, you heard Rhea Perlman. They've got great legacy actors, and you got, of course, Will Ferrell, who's now pretty much a legacy actor, but he's doing Will Ferrell, which is perfect. And Ryan Gosling, who knew he was so good at comedy? I mean, he really hit all those notes perfectly, and I'm telling you, his version of Matchbox 20 was spot on. I loved it. So I can't tell you how much I love this movie. I've watched it a couple times, actually. That just tells you how much I love this movie. So good.
David, what did you think?
I thought it was really wonderful in a lot of levels. First, it was steeped in toy lore. So if you are someone out there that collects Barbies, The only thing, I don't remember seeing it, but the only thing I didn't see was a Star Trek Ken and Barbie, right? That was really cool. I thought it was really smart. I thought it was powerfully done. Yes, the costumes, yes, the set designs. There's a great scene. Hopefully it's not too much of a spoiler, where the Mattel people want to put Barbie back in the box, and the symbolism of that, because it was saying something. It was, at that point, it crosses over between toys and the power of femininity and autonomy of women in the Western world. And so I thought that was really a powerful thing. The actual creator of Barbie, there was even just a little kind of nod to the fact that she went to jail. I'm amazed at the number of people who are part of the toy industry who wind up committing felonies as they are trying to like hide losses in the toy production. That's amazing to me as an avid toy collector. And I'll say this last point. This movie is incredibly smart. So when the people who made this movie said that when they had the little fake goofy map of how to get from Barbie world to real world, and they had that line of demarcation where the People's Republic of China says we own the entire Pacific, or close to it, they knew exactly what they were doing with their little childish little checkered line to try to appease the big masters in the PRC. It's too smart, too intelligent for them not to have done that. So shame on the people at Barbie in the movies for trying to bow to an authoritarian regime. The other side, Margot Robbie is so much more than a pretty face. She is incredible. The director is incredible. And Ryan Gosling, what a dorky, goofy Ken. I can never look at Ken again without kind of like smiling in this. But a great movie, fun movie, powerful movie. A little too pro-China, but it's a good flick.
Tight. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I think what strikes me is the messaging. And when we talk about Oscars, what happened was just could have been straight out of the movie script, that Margot Robbie, Barbie, no nomination.
Yeah, how about
but
that?
Kid, he's just Kid, gets a nomination. Greta Gerwig directed the biggest movie of the year and critically acclaimed, no nomination.
Yeah.
But so it's the patriarchy, the very thing the movie underscores is in effect in the real world of Barbie. So I just thought that was incredibly prescient, and that it just speaks to how far we still need to come in this stuff. But fun movie. I really liked President Barbie. And Simu Liu doesn't get enough credit for his role in this. He was the perfect kind of foil for Ken. And their American Ferrera, I mean, that speech she gave, which kind of talking about the kind of dilemma all women face, I still don't know if she deserves an Oscar nomination for that, but it was very, very important for, people to understand, we try, and it's still, our best still isn't enough. And let me tag onto that, try being a Black woman. It's even 2 times doubly as tough. So Barbie, great movie. We'll talk about it more in terms of the nominations next week, and look forward to it. And kind of next is the dark foil for Barbie, Poor Things. Let's take a peek.
This is Bella.
Bye. I'm a flawed, experimenting person. I must go punch that baby.
I seek outings and adventures.
Bella's so much to discover.
You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Finding being alive fascinating.
She's an experiment.
Good evening.
Her brain and her body are not quite synchronized. But she's progressing at an accelerated pace.
Where did she come from?
I shall. For it is a happy tale.
I am Bella Baxter, and there is a world to enjoy, circumnavigate. It is the goal of all to progress, grow.
A woman plotting her course to freedom. How delightful.
Okay, it's the only woman on here. Trash! I've said it once, I'll say it again. Trash. I can't stand the director and how he directed it. I can't stand the script. I can't stand it. I think that this is a male fantasy of women's liberation, that a woman has to be sexually debased in order to find her way in the world. Ugh. Another poor, crappy movie by Yorgos Lanthimos. Once again, he's awful. And I read the book, which you will see on my channel. Come back. I do a comparison of the book and the movie, which will be up really soon. But I know that people think of this as some kind of great movie about women, but is it really? I mean, is it messaging? I mean, think about it. At no point did anybody discuss, or there wasn't any hint of her getting diseases or pregnancy or any of this, which was rampant during that time. And I just found it just debasing the way that he handled her liberation, as it were. I just know this is trash. I don't recommend it, but I think these two guys have a different opinion. How about you, Patrick?
Well, it's funny because me and Pam have actually had this conversation before, and some of our off-camera moments. I love this movie. I thought it reminded me of
Trash.
No, it did not remind me of Trash. It reminded me of Terry Gilliam's films like Brazil, and the fantastical way it was presented, the fantastical imagery, the settings, the characters were all parodies and not supposed to be a realistic viewpoint. So I found it was a great movie. It was entertaining. God, you know, the performances in them were all just spectacular. Emma Stone was crazy. You know, just the way she acted and the way she did all this.
She went there.
I mean, her performance was so good. Mark Ruffalo, you know, who everybody has gotten, you know, used to seeing him as a Bruce Banner, or, you know, I mean, he plays this cad, and he does it really well. He just leans into it. I mean, he does a great job. And I thought, and William Dafoe, of course, playing the creepy guy, that's just like Tuesday morning for him, I have a feeling, at this point in his career. So, I mean, that's what he does. I mean, and they put a little bit of makeup on. I mean, it was wonderfully done. I thought it was a parable, if nothing else, you know, just kind of I mean, I just loved it. It was wonderfully done. The performances were all spectacular. I just felt everybody in it went for it and did a great job, knocked it out of the park. I loved it.
David, please be the voice of reason. Come on, man.
I will say that I loved it, but I
Quit
found
peer
it.
pressuring him. Stop it, Pam.
No. I
He's
will
a
say that
grown
I
man.
loved
He
it.
can protect himself. Go ahead. But agree with me.
I loved it, but it was a very creative film. Patrick's comment about Brazil, and I'm like, yes, there is a real similarity in that. This kind of female version of Pinocchio, Frankenstein kind of deal, you know, I thought was wild. Emma Stone's performance, I thought, made this a strong film, and it really rests on her shoulders. First time I saw her in a film, I think it was The Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, And I thought, man, who is this young lady? She was really impressive and shined as this ghost in this movie with some really talented folks that we've seen in other things, with Douglas and Matthew McConaughey, etc. And she really just continues to show her talent in this. Um, is it more from the male perspective? Probably, and I think
Definitely.
there clearly are some limitations or standard points of view that men might have about women. I would also say that from the Academy's point of view, um, finding women in a promiscuous way or as the whore or the Madonna are really the only ways that they get Oscar attention. And I think that's a negative commentary. But this is a really well done film. I think it's smart in its own way. And Emma Stone she's magic on the screen in anything she does.
You men, of course you think this way. Although I did talk to a couple of young women in the theater afterwards, and they felt
You did a
that
focus group. You did a focus group without us?
I did, because my brain was so heated. I had to talk to some young women to see what they thought of it. I think they were probably in their 20s or something,
Okay.
19, 20, something like that. Oh, they just gushed over it. And they asked me, they were like, well, did you like it? I said, I did not. And I explained why. And they were like, oh, yeah, I could see that. So, I mean, they were very polite. So they were very well-mannered young women. They probably afterwards was like, that old lady doesn't know anything. But but I just want to, I feel like I'm not alone in this thought. And I think that there does need to be a warning label so people don't make the mistake of thinking this is a harmless fantasy, because I don't think it is. But go and see it for yourself. There's something very I will say it's a very interesting story. So definitely outside of the box, and check it out for yourself. It will be, I think, next week available to rent. So check out Poor Things, or don't bother. Up next, now we're leaning even further into the darkness with The Zone of Interest. And it doesn't give you the level of creepiness of it in just a short clip. Oh, I can't see myself. Oh, okay. So David and I saw it together at the theater. So David, talk about what you thought of Zone of Interest.
Well, I don't think, I've heard the phrase banality of evil, which was initially given to Eichmann during his trial in Israel. This back in the 60s, I think the early 60s. It truly fits this. This is it's seemingly mundane. Here's a typical family. The wife stays at home and raises the children. The dad goes off to work and he kills a bunch of people for no good reason. And that was kind of the movie, this ho-hum kind of, do, better do your job right to the maid. You're drawn in. It's an incredible flick in many ways. It's a powerful story that I think today people are forgetting and probably needs to be retold. This perspective about what it's like to be at Auschwitz, but on the outside of the fence, living there. Never in my wildest dreams did I think about people having a home outside a death camp. great acting. Obviously, we had subtitles. It was all in German. Uh, really a striking film, and it's sobering. People should see it. They should know the story. It's not a knee slapper. It's a very serious topic, a very powerful and moving topic.
Yeah.
And in today's world, I think it's something that we can see and be reminded of the truth of the cruelty that one human being can do to another, and how if you sign a bunch of papers and legitimizes it, it makes it a lot easier to do.
And call it something benign like zone of interest. That's
So
a real term they used.
Yeah, it was really incredible. Great, it was fun for the two of us to get together, but really a sobering, powerful movie that as we see what's going on in the world today, it's good to remember it.
Pat, what did you think?
I did not get to watch this. I
Oh,
apologize.
okay.
Sorry. It looks
Okay.
interesting. I want to see it, but
Yeah, I think I was glad. Now that I think back, I'm so glad I went to it with David, because it was just that unsettling and the powerful, really powerful, and it should win the Oscar for sound, because they'll have these mundane scenes, a birthday party, but in the back of your mind, you hear the screams of terror and the sounds of death
Gunshot.
and the soundtrack. Yeah. And it's just underneath the normal soundtrack. And that's incredible. I mean, how they did that was incredible, because it gives you, your hair stands on end and you don't know why. But every so often you'll hear these wails and screams. And that's something that, sticks with you. And the just casual, just evil cruelty of the people involved, where the guy is up for promotion and goes to a party, and he's on the like second story looking down, and then he's talking to his wife afterwards, and he just was like, I was just thinking about how many of them I could gas and kill in that room. And I was just like, wait a minute, these are your coworkers. I mean, it's like, wow. This guy. And it the casual cruelty of the mother telling one of the maids that she could have her turned into ash, just for leaving a plate in the wrong place. I mean, it's just like crazy, like horrible. And in this day of denial of the truth, everybody needs to understand that the Holocaust did happen, that we don't understand how close we are to the conditions that bred that kind of inhumanity in the world right now. And so people better wake up. So I think this movie is perfect for that. And really, this is something you need to see, even though it's a hard subject matter. Your children need to see it so that they understand cruelty and evil. There is evil in the world.
And everybody needs to see this and go back and even look and find images. There's on Netflix right now, just a little quick plug, from 1977. There is a documentary about the rise of Adolf Hitler. It was also created in Germany. It was in the 70s. So it was a lot closer to World War II than it is today. And I got to tell you, the speeches then, and I know if you don't speak German, you can still get it. You can still get the crowd. And you might see some real life next door kind of similarities.
Right.
Just saying.
Or some speeches or some attitudes.
Right. Just imagine it in color, with the people not dressed as nicely, wearing red hats, and it's the same damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully humans will learn that, it's easy to fall into these kind of terrible, terrible times once again if we're not careful. So definitely. It's not like David said, it's not like pink and light blue like Barbie, but it's something you need to see. Okay. Well, whew, that was a tough one, but worth it. So now let's talk about the best directors. This is a good category this year. Let's take a peek. We have Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet. Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan. Yuck, I don't even care to say that. And Zone of Interest by Jonathan Glazer. Okay, Poor Things by Yorgos Lanthimos. Okay, let's do it. Which is your favorite? Let's see. Patrick, which is your favorite?
You know, for the direction. In other words, we're going to be looking just strictly at how well the actors worked together and how well they were cast to a certain extent and picked. Man, to me, it's between Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer, to be honest. Yeah. I loved Poor Things. I haven't seen Zone of Interest, although it looks really dark and good, which means it could be in mine. Killers of the Flower Moon, I read the book. It's close to where I live, kind of, comparatively to you guys. Yes, I can see how stupid stuff like that could happen. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, everything he does is so well done. I mean, it really... he's a craftsman to a certain more than anything, and I personally would have to go with Oppenheimer just for the simple fact that his stuff is gorgeous. It's well done. It's well thought out. Killers of the Flower Moon would be my second choice just because I love Scorsese and the story itself is really good. Although I don't think the direction was particularly that spectacular. He put a lot of people in there that were so talented that you just let them go. They're going to make the right decisions for the most part. And same thing to a certain extent for Christopher Nolan. I like Poor Things, but I think the acting was much better than the direction, to be honest. I thought that the people did the performances more than they were put into situations and given enough information just from what I've seen. I'm going to pick Oppenheimer. I liked Oppenheimer a lot. I mean, I love the movie. It's slow. Yes, but it's again a wonderfully well done movie, and it's Christopher Nolan all over the place. So yeah, there you go. That's what I'd say.
David, I almost called you babe. David?
I know.
Wow.
I get upset at that.
You guys can't go to the movies anymore. I guess. I'm just saying.
Oops. Don't tell the producer.
Watching.
What do you think?
Hands down, I think Flowers Moon would be good. I got to go with Oppenheimer. I thought that this was the definitive story of the man and the creation of the atom bomb, which has changed the world forever. It helped end a war, but it also planted the seeds of a Cold War, and it also might have kept us from having a Third World War up to this point. We will see. But I thought it was beautifully done. Everything was so good. I got to have Oppenheimer as my pick, who I want to win, who I think will win, who should win.
We haven't gotten to that point yet, but I think you're both right. Oppenheimer to me. I know, right? It must be the cold.
Or something. It might be something else.
No more Dayquil for you, Pam. I'm just saying.
I know.
Ever said that to you, man? I don't think
I know, but it is so amazing. I mean, this is Christopher Nolan's like pinnacle of his work. I mean,
I don't know, the Batman trilogy is pretty darn good.
Yeah, but this one, it was so complicated to do from the source material and to capture these two phases of his life and to, have this high of, he's the father of the atomic age. And then he's the demon who brought in nuclear destruction. And the way that he was able to balance the two and tells such a interesting story. I mean, the book, it's kind of, I read most of it. It's a huge book. I couldn't even get through all of it. To take that and to make it something that literally is what, 3 hours or so. And this is the difference. I was enthralled with his 3 hours as opposed to Killers of the Flower Moon, which I was like, this is too damn long. So it depends on, to me, how the direction is and how he crafted, telling that story that made the difference. So it's Oppenheimer. That's my favorite. Now, here's a question. If you were to put Barbie in there and Greta Gerwig, which movie would you take out? David, what did you think?
Well, I'm glad you asked this question because I wanted to ask you that question. I would probably say of these, the Emma Stone film. That's the one I'd probably replace it with. And I do think, I'm glad, again, I love that you asked this question because if you say somebody should be in it, well, then somebody should be out. You can't have, there's a finite number of nominees. And so if you say, well, so-and-so got robbed, that means somebody else stole their place from a perspective. So I could see the Emma Stone flick being taken out for Barbie. The irony of that, and we've talked about what how these films impacted you, your perception of them, Ken getting the Oscar and the others not. I do think that's there is a little bit of an irony and a nod to that's the kind of the way the world is working and views things. And Margot Robbie, I think, kind of got robbed too. I thought it was amazing in that. So much more than a pretty face. She's really an actress with great substance. She really is.
She's a brilliant actor. Now, I would say I want to agree with you so much, David, but I would replace it with Anatomy of a Fall.
Okay.
If you've both seen that movie, I just don't think that movie was as resonated with me like all the other ones did. Even Poor Things, you see it elicit a just negative reaction, which is good, and that means the director did something right. But Anatomy of the Fall, I was like, what the hell is this doing in Best Picture and Best Director? I was just blown away by that choice. I think that they didn't want to put Greta Gerwig up, and so they put another woman in there and had Juliette Trier there for this movie. Although it did win the Cannes Palme d'Or and her as Best Director there. So it's got international, heft to it. Although France did a terrible job in not putting this movie as their choice for their international film Oscar selection. But yeah, I think I'd get rid of Anatomy of the Fall. Pat, what'd you think?
Oh, Pam, I'm just gonna hold on, calm down. I'm going to agree with you. Anatomy of the Fall would probably be the one I'd pull out of there. Dave just fell over.
I did. You guys on the same side on anything is shocking.
I'm gonna have to agree with you.
I have to take a drink. Oh.
And I know you don't like the Poor Things, but man, as far as just some of the choices that it was built on and the way it looks, I love Terry Gilliam films so much, and this is a personal emotional response to the movie because it really reminded me of the Time Bandits and all the other Monty Python-esque movies that he did. Brazil,
right.
The Fisher King, all those were just amazing movies full of fantastical stuff, and it just really it resonated with me for that, the way it was set up. So I wouldn't pull that one, but yeah, Anatomy of Fall, yeah, okay, whatever.
Exactly.
I thought Barbie was a well put together movie, and that's a lot of times, and the director does a lot of that, make things mesh well, and so that's why I thought that movie was really well done. A lot of great directing choices made there on who was doing what and how everybody just had the Mojo Dojo Grande Casa. It was amazing. It was so good. So I mean, she did get robbed. I mean,
Yeah.
I would agree.
Well,
I think
and frequently too,
for whatever reason they got robbed.
Yeah, the biggest movie of the year somehow is equated with not being artistic enough
Right.
for the
I was going to say
Oscars.
that's not necessarily a just because something's financially successful does not mean that it is good.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, there's been some Transformer movies made a lot of money, but they were all pretty much, as Pam would say, trash.
But it doesn't mean they're not good. Indiana Jones, for instance, Star Wars, very legitimate films that were up for Best Picture, that their box office draw and the interest in potential toys made the Academy say no thanks.
Yeah, and I think that's
exactly.
really unfair that, frequently if a lot of people like something doesn't mean it's not artistically great too. And that's I think that the old guard is still thinking that way. That's why I'm glad there's a push for more diversity and more young voices to kind of counteract. I think that's why you got 2 African American men in Best Actor. That's why you got 2 women being nominated for Best Picture. I think, some of these kind of things you're starting to see some changes. And that's from the new push for diversity in the Oscar, in the Academy voters. So,
Pam, every time you say diversity, I can't help but think of Ron Burgundy going, "Diversity, what is that? I think it's an old wooden sailing ship."
yeah, that's how I think.
And I know it's not right, but that was just such an iconic line. Pardon me.
Yeah,
I digress.
No, but I think that there is this kind of backlash, especially against women this year. So there's kind of a fatigue around feminist issues and the Me Too movement and stuff, and so I think that kind of had some of that involved in this nomination for Best Director, but we'll see. October, Lord help me. March 10th. We're just a week and a day away from the big day, but look forward to three of my movie adaptations coming up on my YouTube channel. So look forward to that. And hey, Patrick, why don't you say goodnight to the people?
Well, the way you said that made me a little nervous, but okay. I'm waiting for a missile strike. All right. Well, everybody, good night. Everybody, make sure that you are watching stuff in the theaters. Remember, Dune 2 was out right now.
It's out now.
Tomorrow. Can't wait to talk about that when we get to that point. So, I would like to also say I am saddened by the fact that I don't get to go see movies with you guys. So you talking about going to see a movie together? I'm like, dang, I wish I could do that, but oh well. We just live in different parts of the country, and this is a great thing about this show is that we all get to be friends. So everybody out there, make sure you stay friends with your people that are across the country and go see movies in theaters so we keep having great stuff to see.
Thanks, Patrick. You're a peach. David, say goodnight to the people.
Hey, everybody. Long live the fighters. I agree with Patrick. Get out there and see Dune 2. Block out 3 hours of your calendar and be ready to be mesmerized.
Oh, not 3 hours.
Oh,
I don't care. That's fine. That's short.
So, but enjoy. Get out there and see a flick. Read a book, too. I'm always big on reading. It's always important. Because you never know when the books will be banned across the country. So get a book. Anyway, have a great week. We look forward to getting back here and talking to you about these fun things. See how our predictions. I'm reading the chat. Yeah, it's a safe choice because it was a good choice, Electric Melanin. You got to go with Oppenheimer. I could have picked Transformers, but I didn't. No. So anyway, y'all have a great
Rise of the Beast. That was awesome. Yes, and come back next week. We'll see you. Take care. Bye.